We are good to go.
Okay. The next question is, why is Godfather insulted by Bonacera offering him money? Um, I think that he was offended or insulted by it, um, because I think he holds to greater value, like him talking about like you never invited me over, um, for dinner, like me and my wife, like, and now you come here and like now you're asking him, and I think Bonacera offering him money, is because I think he felt as though like money doesn't have the same value as like you being a part of my family does, and you have obviously not shown that you want to be a part of this family, and you think that coming in here right now and offering money is going to make up for that. um and from like the looks of it, like I don't think the Godfather needs that money. Like he's not concerned about money, he's not, but what he is concerned about is honestly like relationships. He seems like very much so like, like mob boss, like family guy, like Italian, like cares about his family, and he wants to take care of his family. But now there's this guy coming here asking him for a favor, um, as though he is family, even though he has not put forth like the effort, to be family. And he tries to just be like it's whatever, like almost as if it's like a service. Like I give you money and you do the same for me. Like he's not a hitman. Like that's not what this is. And so I think that's why he got insulted by it.
I agree. I think we actually talked about this last time we talked about watching this scene.
Hmm.
We talked about him not being family, and then once Sarah came
Hmm.
in and said all this stuff, and we think the Godfather was like offended because he hasn't treated any of them like family, but expects them to treat him like family.
Hmm.
Um, but I totally agree with you. I think that it was like offensive to the Godfather because it's like, well, who do you think I am? What do you expect from me? Because
Hmm.
obviously we're not on the same page. Um, and Fonseca thinks he can just get away with paying him to do stuff, and the Godfather,
Hmm.
that's a joke. There's no way you can just pay me and then we'd be like, oh yeah, sure, we'll do anything for you
Hmm.
for me.
Yeah,
And
like it's
Godfather,
just that easy.
yeah, yeah. So I don't think the Godfather like that, and I also think that it made the conflict worse and made the whole
Hmm.
situation worse on top of being on his daughter's wedding day.
Hmm. Yeah, just at the end of the day,
So,
it's just on the day of his wedding, really. Like,
yeah, I think everything adding up to it just made it all worse. I don't think there was a single thing in there that could have gone good and made the conflict any better.
yeah. And I think this also kind of goes with like the next question, which is like, how does money change the power dynamics of the relationship? I just don't think he's concerned about the money. Like, I don't like the value of what however much money he could give him does not equate the value of like his daughter's wedding,
Right.
and like the importance of family and the importance of him. Like, it's just like money's like down here, and like all of that is all the way up here. So for him to just like try to just go whatever, here's some money. I think if the Godfather was the kind of man who didn't value those things, who like valued money, who like needed money maybe, I think that the power dynamic, I think obviously the money would influence him to help on a Sarah, but because he doesn't need it because it's not important to him, it doesn't have the same value. I think that they have different perceptions of the value of money. And Bonacera went in thinking I could just flash some cash and he'll do what I say, but like Godfather's like, no, like you can't just come in here and like expect me to do what you want for like however much money.
Right. Yeah, I think Bonserra was trying to be like very persuasive with the money. He was like,
Mhm.
oh, like I'll start doing those things and I'll also pay you. And then
Mhm.
we can be like family, but I'll also pay you. So then he could get him to do that stuff and go kill this person for him. But I don't think the Godfather saw it like that at all. And the Godfather
Mhm.
felt like he was just trying to take advantage of him in the moment, uh,
Mhm.
on his daughter's wedding day. So I
I.
think it made the power in the whole thing.
Mhm.
I don't think it made a shift in it because I still think that the Godfather had all of the power because
Yeah.
Sarah needed him so bad to do this stuff.
Mhm.
And the Godfather was like, no. And so he was pretty much begging, and like I feel like the money
Mhm.
was his last resort.
Yeah. I feel like you could like see like that like like you could see like the different perceptions of the value of money because like ultimately like the Godfather like agrees to what Bonacera was asking of him, but I don't think it was because of the money. I think it was because of um I think obviously like murder is like morally bad, but I think he has like enough morals and like family and in like I don't know, like violence against women, to have agreed. I think he recognized that there was no justice for his daughter, and regardless of the fact that Bonacera came into his office and was not dealing with this in the way that he would have liked, I think at the end of the day he recognized that ultimately what Bonacera was asking was not for him, but that it was for his daughter. So I think like that's really interesting because he does end up like being like, okay, well like go get those guys to the people in the room.
Right. But I think his daughter meant a lot more to him, and because that
Hmm.
was the situation. I think if it was any other situation where it didn't involve any family, he would
Hmm.
have shut him down really quick and made him
Yeah.
get out of his life, and would have told him, like, probably would have threatened him, like, don't come back here.
Hmm.
You know? But I think because, like you said, it did involve family, that it caused it to be more important to him than if it were a different situation.
The next question is to share a quote in the source from either the podcast or video and why we chose it.
Okay,
If you want to go first, you can go first. If you.
yeah, give me just a second. Let me pull it up. It should be right here. Maybe. I have like 5 million things open on my computer.
Me too.
Maybe not. Was it from week 8? Did we? Oh, wait. Was it from
Yeah, week
the
8.
report?
Mm-hmm.
Because I did not do a worksheet for week 8. Okay, hold on. I actually do not have. Sorry, I did not realize that was a question.
That's okay. I can talk
I,
about mine. I mean.
okay, yeah, I had things from my metaphor report. I did not have things from the videos that week. Yeah, so if you want to talk about yours, you can, but I don't have it.
That's okay. The quote that I picked, it was actually the very first video about Oprah's definition of forgiveness. The quote is, "Forgiveness is giving up the hope that the past could be any different." Actually, when I watched that video, it's literally 8 seconds, and I paused it and I went, "Wow." I think it really resonated with me, um, because I have recently been going through a very intense conflict with my roommate, who was also my best friend, but like things kind of came like to lie about things that she was like lying about and like being like manipulative about. And I have been spending a lot of time thinking about like, well, what did I do? Like, what could I have done differently? And like, she's not the first person who is like very close in my life in like a very short span of time that I've lost. I've lost a lot of people recently. And so I have spent a lot of time being like, well, maybe if I had done this, maybe if I had done that, maybe if I had done done this differently, like maybe things would be different, maybe these people would still be in my life. And so like literally like the first video I watched it, 8 seconds in, it's like forgiveness is giving up the hope that the past can be different. I was like, oh wow.
You're like, what the heck?
Literally I was like, oh, this is really targeted. And then she goes on to say, um accepting like that it's like accepting what has happened to you, accepting that it has happened to you, not accepting that it's okay, and like what do I do about it? I just like felt like, because like forgiveness to me looks like forgiving the other person, like forgiving the things that have been done to me, it's forgiving the things that have happened to me. But I think her like that definition of like giving up the hope that the past could be any different. I think that's where I really struggle. I spend a lot of time like I actually say a lot like if only I had a time machine because I think a lot about the past. I think maybe that's why I don't think too much about the future because I spend too much time thinking about the past.
Yeah.
I just like I have like a hard time accepting the way that things were and the way that things are because it always kind of turns into like a critique of myself where I'm like, well, what did I do, like is there something that I did that would have changed the way that these things went. And I think especially again it's like recent loss, recent conflict, recent everything. It was just like really comforting to hear, honestly, to like that like it's not about saying that what they did to me is okay or what I did to them is okay or that what happened is okay, but just like being able to accept the fact that they did happen and moving on from that, and like no longer holding on to that hope that I could change it or that things could have gone differently because like ultimately like the past has already happened. I can't go back. There is no time machine. So it just kind of like is what it is, and I think that's something that I'm still working on, and I will probably always be working on because it's just like um hard for me to accept that like this is the way that things are, especially with like losing people who are important to me because like it's like hard to imagine your life with people who were like a really big like part of your life and then like not having them around anymore, just like it's like a very change of pace, but I've been working on like appreciating the people who are still in my life, like turning that energy from instead of being like, well, this person is no longer here and like wasting energy, being like, I wish they were here, I wish things would have gone differently, but instead appreciating the people who are here, and putting my energy into them because I think that's more worthwhile. Um,
I
than
also think
manipulating all
like
the time.
the memories of like the time you spent with those people, even though they're not still in your life and maybe you're not friends with them anymore or whatever happened. But like all the good memories that happened are definitely something to remember and something to reflect on and uh,
Mm-hmm.
something to appreciate about those relationships. And I feel like that can help you in forgiveness and moving on with the situation. You can be like, I spent a lot of good time with them and I definitely did everything in my power to stay happy when I was with them, and we had a lot of fun together and whatnot. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but everybody comes into it and out of our lives for a reason, I feel like personally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, maybe they left your life because maybe they just weren't good for you. Maybe it wasn't a good relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it wasn't a good friendship, but you guys did have good times together, and that's always something like positive to look at.
Yeah, I think my issue recently has been like the happy memories I guess feel like tainted because like there was like the conflict like involves like a lot of like lies and manipulation, and so I like look back on it and I'm like, well, what was a lie and what was manipulation? Like is this good memory like actually a good memory? Like
Right.
what was the undertones, what were the implications? But like I think I need to let it go. I because there's other people involved in it as well, and I remember like we were like discussing it, and I remember like literally saying like at a certain point we have to stop talking about this, we have to stop offering it our time and our energy because it's just not worth it anymore.
Right.
But it was still really fresh then, so I was like, but today is not that day. But yeah, I really like that quote. I think it was. I honestly think I'm gonna think about it for a while.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I like to think about things a lot too. Like conflicts with me and my boyfriend. He's always like, "Why do you bring this stuff back up?"
Mhm.
And I'm like, "I don't know. It just comes on my
Yeah.
mind and I need to talk about it."
Yeah. I'm still thinking about
Yeah,
it.
I'm sorry. I think a lot. I have a lot of time to
Yeah.
think and it just goes.
Exactly. I'm the exact same way.
Yeah, but I think always like doing something to get my mind off of it, like going and
Mhm.
somebody that I enjoy to spend time with, or doing something that I enjoy, just like going for a ride, or
Mhm.
I don't know, going for a walk and listening to a
Yeah.
podcast, or doing something else then helps me get past it in that moment because I like distract my mind and then I'm like, yeah, I've calmed down, it's not that big
Yeah.
of a deal anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had like that exact moment because like in the midst of everything, I like went down to Corvallis because I was on campus, and I hung out with a friend who has like no relations whatsoever to like anyone here, and so I was like so far removed from it. She's so far removed from it, and I was like, this is the first time I have felt peace in like 3 weeks, and I was like, I'm having a really good time. Like I really appreciate you, like because I was just like, and my whole life has just been like this conflict, this conflict, this conflict, and I was like, and I was like telling her about it obviously, but it just felt so. It, like I think it really put it into perspective. I was like, this is actually like not that big of a deal. Like I'm gonna like I'll be fine. I'm gonna get over it. Like being here right now with you is like and just talking about it. I'm just like it's fine. Like it is what it is. I'll move on from it. But yeah, I think seeing and spending time with someone who was not like connected to it all really made me feel better. I was like, you know what, I am gonna be okay.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you found that out um in that situation because that's definitely helpful. I know at least for me it's very
Mm-hmm.
helpful.
Mm-hmm. The next part is the metaphor report. To choose one of the metaphors posted by classmate and then connecting it to conflict management and add more to it.
Okay, I do have this one.
Okay.
Um, Mine was the Rubik's Cube. I found that very interesting
mm.
because she was like, like everybody has their problems, everybody has different situations, and like, but then you can always like come together as one. And like when you solve a Rubik's Cube, it becomes like one big cube. Like it's all one piece then. It's not all like jumbled and like,
Mm.
um, so I thought that was kind of cool because conflicts are kind of like everything comes to light, everything comes out,
Mm-hmm.
everything gets said, people get heated, things happen. But then once the Rubik Cube gets solved, then like you resolved your conflict and things are like good because you figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought that was a really good metaphor and
Mm-hmm.
cool thing to like look at in conflicts because it's like
Mm-hmm.
there's so many different perspectives, which is like all the different colors and like they could be different people in it in different situations and different things that happened. And then like once it's all solved, it's all comes together as one piece.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just thought that was
Mm,
cool. That was a good
that's
metaphor for
a good
conflict.
one. I don't think I saw that one. I wish I would have. I'm like super into. I have like four Rubik's cubes that are like almost all different.
Oh,
So I wish I would have seen that one.
yeah, that's so fun. I love Rubik's cubes. I can never solve them, but I love them. I
I
like
really like the 3x3 one. I learned how to solve it, and I had a 2x2, but I can't find it. And I have a 4x4. And then I have like a little tiny one that's a 3x3.
cute. That's fun.
But yeah, that's a really really good metaphor. I remember when I was trying to find like an object for my metaphor, I was like, I don't know what to do, and I wish I would have looked at my Rubik's cube and been like, you.
You're the one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
um.
no, I liked that report. I thought it was super
Uh-huh.
cool to like see everything that people brought and like I also like the
Mhm.
one about the coins and how she's like there's so many different coins, so
Uh
many
huh.
shapes and sizes and everything. I thought that one was super cool too. But
Mhm.
yeah, it was just cool to listen to everybody's and how everybody like,
Yeah.
thinks of conflicts differently and like how they
Yeah. The
relate to
different
them.
objects that they brought in and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um. The one that I chose is um like the pencil cup or like the pen cup. But I think.
Oh, with
Emma
like all the
Orchard
different
didn't.
pens in it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I responded to that one, and in my discussion post, in response, um, because I thought it was really impressive that she was able to like look at this like pencil cup and like make a metaphor out of it. Like I was like very impressed. I was like, wow, like like 'cause I was really struggling. I was like running around my apartment like looking for, and I was just looking at stuff and being like, how could you? And then I was like looking at videos of like everybody else's, and I was like, how did you come up with that? um, but I was really impressed with hers because what stood out to me was she said you won't know what you're getting until you open it up, and I was that really resonated with me because like whenever like I am in conflict or honestly even when like I feel like I have to have a hard conversation with someone or like whenever I'm like preparing myself for something that is like less than ideal, like my thing is always like well, you won't know until you try. You won't know until you try to have that conversation with that person. Like if I'm having an issue with someone, like I won't know what's going to come of it until I try to have that conversation with them. And that's what I always tell my friends, which they don't like hearing. They hate hearing. We'll just go talk to them because they're like, it's not that easy. I'm like, but it literally is. Like it actually is. But it's really hard to do, and I understand that. But I always try to be like, you know what, like I'm not going to know what's going to happen unless I try to address this, unless I try to resolve this, unless I try to fix this. And so I thought that was really interesting, and I think it also like again like adds to like a pencil cup is kind of like different skills that we have in conflict management. Like each pen has a different like a different color, a different type of tip. Like some might be thinner, some might be thicker. Some you might use for highlighting, some might be darker, some you might use for underlining, like things like that. Like there's just like different types of skills that can be applicable to different conversations with different people, and the same things for like pen. Sometimes you need a pen to like highlight a quote. Sometimes you need a pen to underline a quote. Sometimes you're like running brackets. It just depends on like what it is that you need in that moment. And so I really like that metaphor.
Yeah, I thought that was a good metaphor too. Um, yeah, I like how there was like so many differences in it and she like explained
Mm-hmm.
all of it.
Uh
And
huh.
like, I thought it was crazy too to look at pens and be like, yeah, that's a good metaphor.
Yeah. I ended up doing mine on like string. I have a lot of like I said just here. I have a lot of bracelet making. This is my string from my metaphor. And I was just like, I actually did mine in one take, which I wasn't expecting because I was like really struggling. But then I just kind of like talked and I like I was just like, you know what? I was like, I'm just gonna start recording and I'm just gonna start talking and I'm just gonna hope it works itself out. And it did. And I was like impressed with myself.
I did mine at like 5 o'clock in the morning, so I was like, so I was so tired, but I was like, it was the only time I had to do it, and so you can see in my video, I'm just like dying.
Why did you do it at 5?
I like get up at 5 every morning, and then I try to do
Mhm.
homework before I start work at 8, but sometimes I have to drive
Mm,
like 30 minutes from Bend to Redmond to get to work. And so I
mhm,
have to leave about 7:15 just in case anything happens, so then I can get to
mhm,
work by 8. And
mhm,
so, and then I normally work until like 4 or 5 and then I make dinner.
mhm.
So then at the end of the night, I'm like, I'm so tired. I just want to go to bed.
Uh-huh.
And then,
Wow.
yeah, and my family does a lot of stuff on like weekends and everything. And so sometimes I'll have like Saturdays to do some homework, but not very often.
Mhm.
So I just try to do it like before work in the mornings.
Wow.
And so
That's
that
really
one,
impressive.
yeah, I haven't been doing as much lately, but
Yeah.
I try. But some mornings I'm like,
Yeah.
there's no way I can get out of bed right now.
That's a lot of self-discipline, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
Um,
it's been a struggle, but this is
yeah.
one of the hardest terms that I've had in school, and so
Mhm.
I'm like, I just have to get it done. If I don't get it done, I'm just gonna procrastinate and not do it.
Yeah, that is so fair. That is so fair.
Yeah, but
Um,
that was a
well,
struggle for me too.
well, that's everything for a meeting. That's
Oh,
no icebreaker. Have a good break.
oh. Okay. Well, I feel like that was fast.
Yeah, I agree. I honestly I was a little afraid that we were gonna have a hard time filling up that whole time just you and I because it's supposed to be for four people and there's usually three of us and I was like I hope we can make the time and I think we did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I think we did too. I didn't realize that. Yeah, well, and I was like, there's not as many questions this week because,
hmm
like, I mean, the last few questions aren't like, oh, make a plan. Oh, what
hmm
does
Yeah.
mixing involve or whatever. And so I was like, well, only having like 5 or 6 questions with two of us. But there was a lot to the questions today, so
Yeah.
that was good. But okay, well, I'm gonna stop recording. Let's pause, stop.